A very wonderful day, our viewers out there. Welcome to the program Perspective on ITV. On this program, I will look on a variety of issues with profiling solutions. Last week we were here, and of course this week we are back here. On this week's episode, we are looking on a variety of issues. Also, of course, we start with the 2023 elections that just went down. A couple of things, and of course, I have a guest in the house. We'll also look at the issue of the setting agenda for the incoming government, and lastly, we will look at the race for the Senate presidency, which is on. With me on set this evening to discuss these issues, no other than Honorable Chinedum Lekwachi. Is a contestant. Of course, he contested under the platform of the PDP in the Boy State for the House of Assembly. Welcome to the program, Honorable.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Let's start with the elections. What experience have you gathered again as it concerns you being an aspirant under the PDP for House of Assembly? Let's start from there. What is your experience, first of all, that you added prior to what you had before?
It's a big one, very big experience, very big experience, and I think it's the process that is more important than even the outcome, because participating in the process is to help deepen the democracy and help the people know what you possess as an individual, what you stand for, and what you have in stock for your people. As of the 2023 general election, for me, it does not meet the expectation of Nigerians. I've said it in several forums. Our expectation was raised high by INEC, but it was dashed by after the poll, and you can see what happened. Mostly those of us that came from Ebonyi State, what we saw in the field was different from what we expressed, and we can continue to know and grow because our democracy is evolving. All these elements and ingredients is what we see because we are trying to get it right. And I believe that as we progress, Nigeria will get it right someday.
Okay, Nigeria will get it right someday. Prior to the elections, some persons have other things in mind concerning the actions of INEC. INEC talked about electronic transmission of results, talked about so many things relating to the to network, and of course some of us in the media sector actually foresaw some certain issues. We know when it comes to technology, we are not there yet, and of course we are still lacking behind as it concerns technology. We know that if INEC is talking about transmission of results, it depends on so many things like the network and many other things. But then when INEC came out to tell us that they could not transmit results, it was not a surprise for us. But what have you to say as it concerns those issues of as it concerns our technology, concerns electronic transmission of results?
It's not an issue about technology. I think there was a compromise in the side of INEC. INEC entered some kind of agreement with some politicians to compromise the system, and that was why they were not transmitting the results. Let me give you an instance. There are places that the election pool were concluded in Puno unit. We collected results in Puno unit, and it was time for you not to transmit the result to BVAX. And INEC will say that they don't have the facility. In some instances, they will insist they will not transmit the results because they have plans somewhere to go and falsify results and submit a different kind of result from results they generated from the Puno unit. We had the experiences across body, like in my places. There are instances we saw it. Transmit these results. INEC insisted they will not transmit the results. They left the materials and ran away. Just after some few minutes, police with military came and took all those INEC materials away. The next thing we saw that they went and declared the different thing from what was tabulated across that political world. So for me, I will say there was a kind of compromise in the side of INEC in this, what we experienced. It was beyond technology because we had facility. Like in my Puno unit, I told INEC, if you don't have network, I will hotspot you guys to transmit these results. Yes, and it happened. So it is not about the technology. We had facility that could do this, but they were compromised because some politicians knew transmitting the original result we have from the Puno unit is going to stop them from doing what they are plan doing. and that's why they halted the process.
So what would be your advice for subsequent elections as it concerns?
I've canvassed that in Nigeria, for us to get it right, or for us to be near SLX in our electoral process, the chairman of INEC should not be appointed by the president. Nigeria should be allowed to vote and elect who becomes the chairman of INEC. Let's get somebody that's neutral, because that man that is the chairman of INEC has affiliation with the ruling party. Somebody that is the rec of the state has affiliation with the ruling party. And if you are working for a party, you must do their biddings. So Nigeria should...
But in 2015, we didn't see such. In 2015, during the time of Jega, and of course during the time of Jonathan as a president, the 2015 election. So how do you compare and contrast that?
To some extent, I said the 2023 general election took us back to the days of 2003 and 2007. We had fairer election in 2015 and 2019 than what we had in 2023. So let us
appointing chairman. So you say
we should stop it. And the idea of appointing both REC, both electoral commissioners, no. Let Nigeria say elect who becomes what. Let's get people that are neutral, that are not partisan. Because the man that is doing a REC, a resident electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State, is somebody that is partisan to APC, and they compensated them with appointment, and he must do the bidding of his party. It is across board.
But if the election is probably being taken by the contestant, let's put it that way, how much maneuvering can you maneuver an election that you know this is openly being won by a contestant? Maybe if it's maybe a little dicey or slimly contested.
We are on live television, and I don't want to say some certain things,
okay,
because I believe the petitions is already in
court,
a nation tribunal. I would have given instances of constituencies. Results were clear. The results that were coming from polls were clear, of margin lead by a certain candidate. And about 6 hours, 7 hours, the result was upturned, and something different was written. Well, and we saw it in the field. It happened.
But what so many persons will say is not the first of its kind having an election in Africa, in Nigeria, or so. But let's leave that, and of course let's move to other issues. Let's look at we have a new government, of course, a president-elect, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, coming in for the APC, and of course we need to set agenda for them. So what, as a young person now, what is first on your mind agenda for this incoming government?
To me, I think Nigeria currently on a crossroad. We are into crisis. Crisis that is resulted by corruption, resulted by insecurity. For me, this should top the agenda of the incoming government. Insecurity and corruption. If we can fight insecurity in the country, if we can fight corruption, if we can reduce corruption, because we cannot fight it totally. If we can fight corruption, if we can reduce corruption, if we can fight insecurity, we'll be able to solve the half of our problems. That means, why corruption? Money is budgeted in every sector for educational development, for employment, for security, but people are pocketing the money. But if we can reduce corruption to minimum level, that means money budgeted for education, money budgeted for you to generate employment, to create a level environment that will generate employment for health sector will be utilized, and the country will grow. Now, the issue of insecurity. The issue of insecurity, everybody in Nigeria, nobody is sleeping with his 2 eyes closed again. Every part of the country is in crisis. Before President Buhari came in, it was just in the northeast. But now it has snowballed and gone to every part of the country. If you go to northeast, if you go to northwest, if you go to southeast, if you go to south, there is an issue of insecurity everywhere. People are being kidnapped every day. People are being killed every day. So, if we cannot fight insecurity, that means you will not have a conducive environment to govern. So the incoming government should, within this next 6 months of the administration, initiate measures that can reduce insecurity in the country or halt insecurity totally. Let them see that the people in the military, the people in the police, they are well empowered to fight these guys. because insecurity is an ugly monster that have destroyed Nigeria. Nothing is working again in the country because of insecurity. People are no longer going to farm because of fear of being kidnapped or being killed. And as far as this continues, Nigeria will continue to do where we are. People can no longer travel again on road because of this issue of insecurity. People, as I said, people are afraid of being kidnapped. So, for me, it's corruption. Tackle corruption, fight insecurity. If we can fight corruption, if you can fight corruption, Nigeria will blossom. Because there are good government policies, there are good government ideas that they initiate. But you bring all these things on board, you make budgetary provision, people embezzle the money, people pocket the money because of they don't have sense of integrity, they don't have sense of patriotism. If we can guarantee this, if the new government coming in can bring this to bear, Nigeria will blossom. For me, fight corruption, fight insecurity.
So, looking at the center, so many persons have talked about the government, the governors on their part, of course, taking away the position of the central government, which is the federal government. In this whole issue you talked about, what do you think the role of the state governors on this issue?
It's not just about the government. Both the leaders and the followers have a role to play for us to fight corruption and reduce corruption in the country. Every citizen of the country have a role to play. As I said, corruption is beyond stealing money from government. When you don't keep the appointment, when you tell lies, you're already a corrupt person. So we have to go back to the 1983-85 days of Buhari Diabo, when we had the attitudinal change. When you know that when you go to a bank, you have to join a queue. When you know for you to enter a taxi, or for you to enter a taxi, you join a queue and move and join a queue. When we have this sense of patriotism, when you don't go ahead and destroying public property or government property, the name is a government property. Do you know in some places people go to destroy government facilities? They stick cables to go and sell. Because we don't have sense of patriotism. So this is what the new government should restore. If we have this in place, everybody will now know, I don't have to do this, Nigeria have to grow, I have to contribute my quota towards the growth of Nigeria. You see, I had the incoming the president-elect say something a few days ago. He was saying that his government is going to empower institutions to fight corruption. If we have the good institutions empowered and labeled, we don't even need to come out and start pushing anybody that you are corrupt. If we have the right thing done, everybody will now know how to kill in, and corruption will be reduced. So it's not about the government. Everybody has a role to play. Both people in the subnational government, people in the national government, people in the grassroots. Every Nigerian have a role to play, because if we don't tackle this, Nigeria will continue to be where we are.
Well, let's look at the mode of selection in political parties. Don't you think the political parties still have a much more role to play in the selection? Because from that point, you get persons coming out for elective positions. What about the role of the political parties?
Is everybody in this country? For us to get it right, everybody must have a role, must play a role.
The political parties has a singular role also.
Yes, the political party have role selection process. Selection process, I think we have a problem in our recruitment system. Selection process thereabouts, we have problem. The challenge we have is that in our country, the kind of politics we play is not politics of. We don't play politics driven by competency. I think majorly every political party today have not joined the bandwagon effect of who has the deep pocket, is who has the deep pocket that can be able to get delegates that will vote him in primaries, and if you have the deep pocket that will get delegates to vote in primary, that is when you have nomination.
Having this, having a party, everybody tend to see as a party that is coming to limelight, of course, to probably deliver the people on the national level first of all. But the elections have gone down, and of course they are told as it stands. But having such parties, and of course we know the Labour Party came up so strong in Abia State with bringing out the governor of the state. Now having such issue now arising in Imo State, and of course we believe where there should have been some elements of good practices as it concerns selection of the candidate. Having this now, what is your take on this?
I say it's because anybody that's selected as a leader of a political party, either the chairman or the secretary or the offices, I think one thing in mind is that they want their party to win election, and that means that they want to make money from the office. So they will do everything that can enable them make money, and that is one of those things. So we have to fight the system. The system has been corrupt. And that is why corruption is one of the big issues that's dealing on the country. If you can fight corruption, if you can tackle corruption, if you can reduce corruption, we will start getting everything right. There's a bad organ effect. You can see the Labour Party. I was surprised when I first read that the Labour Party is sending nomination for governorship 25 million. Later, because of the public outcry from Nigerians, they now reduced to 15 million. I was thinking, because this party was a party Nigerians are seen as the less alternative, as the less bankable political party to work with. They should even say, our nomination will be 2 million, our nomination will be 3 million. You see, they are going in the same rate today with the APC and the PDP. That means we're almost in the same place. And corruption. This is what I've dealt with the country. And if we don't fight it, if we don't fight this ugly monster, Nigeria will continue to be static.
So, I'm still with Honorable Chinedum Elekwache, and of course he was a candidate for the PDP in Ebonyi State, of course, House of Assembly. We'll come back. The program Perspective is still on. Well, welcome back. I'm still here with Honorable Chinedum Elekwache, and of course we will be wrap it up very soon now. But before we wrap up, let's check out the issue of the Senate presidency. Let's check out the issue of zoning. The major party, All Progressive Congress, is still digging it out, of course, for who to be the next Senate president. Of course, you agree with me. As it stands, they are the party that should produce the next Senate presidency, and we don't see any minority party coming up to but for you, we have candidates on board, but we've seen just recently Governor Moahi, of course, declining for Senator Akpabio. Of course, one of that candidates declining also for Senator Akpabio, but it is still highly contested as it stands. For you, what's your take on zoning the presidency to the southeast? We still have a couple of persons from the northeast, from the North Central, having interest in contesting for the position. But the All Progressive Congress, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they've come out with zoning it to the southeast or south, or maybe still open, depends on what the party decides, or what the candidates decide, or depends on what the senators decide themselves.
I think it's an interesting time. I will follow the development, and it's an interesting time because contention for power comes with a lot of dynamics. A lot has happened, but if you are conversant with what has happened in the last few days, you know where the goalpost is going to. It's very clear to everybody where the APC is going to, and the president-elect. The party on Wednesday, after their NWC meeting, came out through the National Senate chairman. He said the party is going to adopt a consensus candidate for the various offices. I think for now there is no clear zoning, but that was the National chairman quoting Adamu Abdullah. That was what he said after their National WC meeting. And Asiwaju, the president-elect, was in Port Harcourt for 2 days for project commissioning. If you follow the intrigues of that project commissioning, you now know that somebody might have been anointed to be the next Senate president and have been matched with someone else to work as his deputy. Senator Baru Jibri was contesting for Senate president, but you cannot see he is now running for deputy Senate president, following Akpabio around in his consultation. Governor Dave Umahi, who said he have adopted Akpabio. For me, I was not seeing Umahi as a serious contender because Umahi
is just a JJC.
Yeah, he's a
new kid in the block.
It's a first timer, and you know the senior standing order says that
Experience has to be there.
That a ranking, it's only ranking senators that qualified for principal offices. So for me, I knew I was declared interest. He just wanted to be on the political dashboard. He was not there for any serious thing. I think the people that are contesting this position is Senator Joseph Okalo. That is a correct chief whip of the Senate. He has been gone in that he should be zoned to Southeast. The Senator Citizen also, who is from Imo State. And these are the people contesting from Southern.
How about the Senator Akpabio? Something that is coming up. Of course, getting persons talked about some senators endorsing Senator Orji Okalo for the position of the Senate President.
But nobody has endorsed. Senator Akpabio.
Some senators endorsing Senator Orji Okalo for the presidency. That makes it more.
No, you see, I've not read of that. It may be true, but APC has the majority of the senators in the Senate. Senators elect. They have the majority. They have the majority of the Senate. There are a lot of laws to be made. There are a lot of laws that to be worked on, to be reworked on. If the next National Assembly can consider making a law to reduce numbers of the cost of governance, how much we spend on frivolities and bravado in government. Let money budgeted be used for critical issues, because there is a lot of wastages in the system. Now we have problem with pricing of goods and services in our market. We can have a price regulation board that will regulate how much we spend. There should also be a commission for youth development. I think these are the National Assembly should work. A commission for youth development, that commission should be domiciled with the responsibility to train the young people, provide them soft loan, help them to access employment. I think there are a lot to do. I think the National Assembly, everybody should fold his or her sleeves and get ready to work, because Nigeria is in crisis and there is a lot to do for the country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chinedum Lekwachi, for, of course, being with us this day.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, viewers at home, I've been with Honorable Chinedum Lekwachi. He was a candidate for the PDP in Ebonyi State, contesting for the House of Assembly position. And of course, he has been on the show to enlighten us on the agenda setting and some other issues have been discussed here today. My name is Chuka Nguha, and of course, the program we'll be watching has been a perspective on ITV. Join us same time next week on this program. Until then, enjoy the rest of the program, and of course, bye for me.